on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Tuffy Talk Part 2 with our fan giveaway, really. We've got Winston and Brian here. If you guys didn't see it on our first episode, we got to know them, their connection to NC State, some thoughts on some different subjects, like recruiting and traditions at NC State. And I think, this episode, I think we're going to talk into more about, their favorite sports, maybe how they're viewing the upcoming football season, the basketball team going in the next year, maybe it's men's, women's, whatever they want to talk about. This is a show for them because, they won the giveaway, right? They won the prize. So it's going to be about them in this episode. So let's start there, guys. Winston and Brian, let's start with, I guess, what's your favorite sports? What do you guys like watching? For me, I know for me, I'm the football, basketball kind of thing. But is there, I imagine those are what you guys like. Is there anything unique that you guys like taking in? I guess, Winston, I'll start with you.
Basketball is my passion. If I'm going to be honest, I love basketball. Always have since a kid. Honestly, anything NC State I'll watch. My wife gets on to me because I was watching the women's tennis on the tennis network when they were in the NCAA tournament. If I can find an NC State sport to watch, I'll watch it. My daughter's getting into gymnastics, so we're watching NC State gymnastics. So we're it's not just one sport that we're watching, and at least in my house. But if I have to choose, it's football and basketball and baseball. I love those, and wrestling's fun to watch, especially the big matches because they get hyped, and we just love to see that. But for me, basketball's number one, football close second.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
I'm kind of the same way. I mean, growing up in North Carolina, it's ACC basketball was where it was. But I'm a huge football fan too. I actually have football tickets and don't have basketball tickets right now. Like you mentioned, wrestling, that's amazing to go watch. I'm actually, Greg, I saw you got some tickets the other day. I'm actually debating doing the same thing, picking a couple up.
Get on it.
And then, women's basketball the last few years, that's been a lot of fun to watch. Exciting to see what they're going to do this year with the new recruits. So it's going to be an exciting year for Wolfpack Athletics, I think.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So, look, I'm like Winston and Brian, obviously, and probably 99% of our target audience. I love every sport, but there's a little reason why I started doing the season tickets, and I was kind of doing some math in my head. You get easier points in the Wolfpack Club by doing season tickets, right? So I only got to drop like $75 and I get a point for season ticket points or for Wolfpack Club points, where you got to donate more money to get the points. So I do enjoy the event, but there is also the secondary benefit of that. And so I do encourage people to go out and get those season tickets, especially in those secondary sports like wrestling, women's basketball, volleyball. I don't think there's charge for swimming or charge for tennis, but it's a really good way to kind of cherry pick, if you will, your Wolfpack Club points, and you get some entertainment value out of it as well.
Oh, yeah. So I guess one thing I have, since you guys are mentioning, I feel like you guys are just like me. Like I tell the guys, I think Layton's more passionate about football. I don't know where Michael stands, or Mackenzie, but like for me, like I Brian, I'm a North Carolina kid. I grew up, it's basketball. Like I love that, but I really do love football too. I really get into that. I love that. Baseball's great. Is there a sport over the years, or maybe even recently, for NC State that you've really found yourself loving more and more? That's like kind of even surprised you. Like I didn't really care for this like a year ago, 2 or 3 years ago. You mentioned maybe, I don't know, what you think. Brian, I'll go with you.
I think, obviously, like when I was in school, that was Coach Guzzo's last year or last couple of years. And then the program kind of fell off. So to see it come back and with a vengeance, being ranked in the top, 8 for like 100 straight polls now or something crazy. And that's amazing. And then the other, just to see, unfortunately, how bad our women's tennis and men's tennis were to where they are now, competing, winning the ACC, finishing second. I mean, that just to see the growth of those programs that, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people probably don't go see, but to see what they've done, it's pretty awesome.
Right. What about you, Winston?
I, I mean, with basketball being my passion, I feel myself arguing with more NC State fans about the basketball program and Keats, because I'm a huge Keats supporter. Like I feel like half of my Twitter battles are defending the basketball program and how it's changing compared to what it was 2 years ago. So to me, I'm still so passionate about that I find myself having to get off Twitter before I say something stupid, essentially.
Yeah. I think Keats would love to have you over for dinner sometime if you're defending him all the time. So,
but I like how you said how to get off Twitter before you say something stupid, because I think we're all there at some point in our fandom, having to defend the honor of NC State athletics, and it gets, I'm going to say use the word tiresome, right? That yes. We don't always get enough credit in the things that we're doing, that we're now a perennial top 20, top 25 in the Directors Cup points, right? And that just shows you the life of your athletics program. It's not, one particular sport that's carrying the water pail, if you will, for like all of our sports, especially in the last couple of years, have been very consistent making postseason play. And so I guess I would ask you, Brian, first, how would you assess the what I'm trying to think of the word, the level that NC State athletics is at, like the health, I guess is what I'm trying to go, like the health of NC State athletics.
I mean, I think it's probably some of the best it's ever been. I mean, across all sports, like you said, the consistency of making postseasons. I guess maybe volleyball was the only one of the few, if any, that didn't make the postseason, and they have done significantly better, the last few years. I mean, just across the board, like you mentioned with the Directors Cup. I mean, being, when I was in school, we were probably like 75th or 80th, and now we're, like you said, top 20, 25, 17, all right there. I'd love to be higher, but I mean, we also don't have as many sports as some of these other teams, or schools that are getting more points for things we don't have.
Right.
So there's always room for improvement, but I mean, I'd love to be top 10, but we'll see what happens.
Sure. I mean, definitely night and day, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's interesting because over the years, I don't know there's a sport that State's had that I've grown, that I've been surprised how much more and more interested in. I will say this season, like late in the postseason, is the first time I ever cared to look at women's tennis or tennis in general. Yeah. Like I was like, I don't care, and it's right. I just didn't, and now I'm like, it's to me it's a story, right? It's like, where did this come from? Where did they come from? Like, is it Earnshaw? Is that the coach?
Yeah, Earnshaw. Yeah, Earnshaw.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's notable what has happened. I mean, obviously they came in second place and won a that kind of thing, and Diane Schneider, like all that kind of stuff. But it's just like, maybe I could be interested in tennis. I don't know. I just think that's interesting to me. I mean, I like the big four, so to speak, and I know like Leighton loves wrestling. Greg bought season tickets, but I don't know. I just think it's interesting when you see the growth there. Leighton's wife is really interested in Leighton growing in gymnastics, that kind of thing. So you mentioned that earlier, Winston. Your daughter, I guess, is interested in, right?
Yeah. So my daughter's 6, and she's been in gymnastics for about a year now, and loving it. So the fact that NC State now the ACC has a gymnastics program, essentially, we'll have our own little. Was it 4 teams? I think
4 teams.
And we'll have more. Yep. So, which is really cool.
ACC.
The ACC has it, which is really cool. So
Who is it? It's NC State, Carolina, Pitt, and Clemson.
Clemson, yeah, they just added their program this year. So you were kind of talking about programs growing and on the rise, and I would definitely say the cross country, right? They've been winning some national championships the last couple of years. But the wrestling program, since Coach Pop has come on, that's a program where, they play in Reynolds, which, arguably is the most beautiful arena in ACC. That when
Just
he
too
came,
small.
right? Yeah, it is right. But you got to give and take with that. But when he showed up, he said he maybe have 100 people in the stands. Right now
I
you're
was
getting,
there. I think one of his first matches.
yeah, and so now
Yeah.
you're getting 2, 3, 4,000 people at these matches, and then when you have a Virginia Tech or a Carolina that comes into town, you're dang near selling the place out, right? You're putting about 5,000 people in Reynolds. So for me, that would be the program that I would speak of, and then the other thing that I would talk about for fans that are looking to get into some of these sports is the accessibility of the athletes, right? Your wrestling, your women's basketball, tennis, men's, or just baseball in general. The players are very accessible after games. Where if you want to get a picture or if you want to get your kid an autograph, gymnastics is the same. It's much more accessible, and then you can kind of latch onto that sport. And so that's how you grow these sports, is to make your athletes accessible, and then, like you said, go out and win ball games.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flightland's Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flightland's Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flightland's Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flightlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
I'd say another one that's not an NC State official sport, you might know where I'm going with this one, Greg, is that I think has grown a lot, and I would love to see it become a legit team, is the hockey team.
For sure.
Yes.
I could really get into that, and I feel like I'm growing more interest in it, and I know with the whole Carolina Hurricanes having the Winter Classic game outside or whatever the hell they called it,
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Yeah,
like
stadium.
a day or two
stadium
later, they
series.
had the hockey game between State and Carolina, and it was not the same full, but it was like a lot of
There
people
were a
came
lot of
out.
people there.
Right?
Did you go, Brian?
Right.
Did you go?
For a club
Yeah.
team. For a club team. When was the last time a club team that you know of generated that much attention?
It ranked like top 10 all time in college hockey, like attendance.
It's a club team.
And it was club team, right? Yeah.
Right. It just is.
See, I would like it because they
cool.
would have to come up here and play people in the Midwest. It's like
maybe South Dakota State and NC State can do maybe South Dakota State could join the ACC or the ACC.
You got to add another women's team at some points, right? So at this point, it's not a matter of just adding one team. You have to, do the whole Title IX thing, and that's the right thing to do. But
we can get a hockey team. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Women's wrestling.
It's money. Like Brian's working it right there. Hockey's not a cheap sport. It's really not a cheap sport.
Hockey is not cheap. So I'd be curious about this too. Another sport I've been curious about why State doesn't have it, and because I think it is an expensive sport, is lacrosse. Like Carolina and Duke are big in lacrosse, and it's not a thing for State at all.
Well, we used to have a lacrosse team.
We still have the Division I leading scorer of all time.
Well, we don't anymore. Actually, I thought we did too. 2008, he lost it. It was he had a really interesting name. Yeah. I just looked this up the other night. It was like Cronkerton or something like that.
Stan, so yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But he was a Canadian, so go figure. But so I guess for me, what would be, because Macon kind of led us into it, what's the one sport that we don't have that you would maybe potentially like to see at NC State? Go ahead, Winston. You can take this one.
Oh, do we have a men's volleyball team?
We do not.
Or just the women's? I think that would be kind of cool. Out of a men's sport, because we have most of the majors besides lacrosse. I think a men's volleyball team, because that's a pretty big sport in the college world. You see a lot of that.
Sure. Yeah. What about you, Brian? Is there something that you would be interested in?
Especially for Title IX purposes. I mean, I think, Crew because there's a lot of schools that have that, and I don't know the cost behind it, but I wouldn't think that would be horribly expensive. But then also lacrosse, both men's and women's, I think could easily get added, and
Yeah,
Don't we have a
I would
sailing
agree.
club team though?
We have a sailing club team.
sailing
Yeah.
team, yeah.
We have a rugby club. We did have a rugby club team too, but that's
Yeah.
That would be another one.
But I'm with you, Brian, as far as the cost with lacrosse, because you have a lot of close opponents where you can just do a day trip. Hockey would be very difficult because you don't have opponents really close, so you're gonna have to travel. Because that's the thing that gets you is it's not always the equipment, right? Especially when you have Adidas and they're giving you vouchers and all of that. It's the travel behind it, and then all your staff element. Where you need assistant coaches and then trainers or whatever the case may be. That's where you incur the cost. But anyway, we only got a few more minutes, so let's jump in and let's talk a little bit this year's football preview with Brian. I'll turn it to you. We got a lot of new faces, some new coaches in key places. Kind of just give me the floor and then give me the ceiling and tell me how we get to either.
I mean, I think the ceiling's probably 10-2.
Okay.
Floor 5-7 if things don't go well. I mean, I think the biggest thing we got to have is the defense to still be what we want it to be, and then the offense has got to have more production. Got to threaten more downfield, which I think we'll do with the new offense coming in. I think that's going to happen. But it kind of concerns me a little bit that we're still looking at receiver in the portal. I know the other night, we're talking about the guy from Rice, and it sounds like we've been in contact with him over the last few days.
That way. Yep, definitely sounds that way.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I get curious about that one too. It's you said 5-7. I think it's a pretty fair floor because you think about the schedule, right? You've got UConn, I would say should be a win. You've got BMI should be a win.
Marshall,
you've got Marshall, that should be a win. That's 3 right there. Virginia Tech should be a win.
It's away.
It's away in Blacksburg, and it's going to be cold. It's a late November game. I'm trying to think who the other game was. I'm thinking it was
So Virginia's another road game. You got Duke and Wake Forest. Virginia, the other two.
Virginia's probably who I was thinking of. Yeah. I could see 5. I could see 5-7.
Yeah, because because real quick, we don't know what Louisville's going to be. We don't know how Duke's going to respond. Notre Dame, and then you have Clemson, right? So there's 4 potentials, and then Carolina.
Never know.
We won't talk about right.
I don't want to go down this rabbit trail, but have you guys seen the projections for Louisville this season?
It's insane.
I don't get it.
I must be missing something because
they're high on Braun.
How are they favored in every game they play this year?
They're favored in what? 10?
12 games.
12 games.
Yes.
Anyway,
for me,
go ahead, Winston.
10-12, I think, or 10-2, 10-12. 10-2, a ceiling. I mean, it all.
Who are we losing to is the question. I'm just curious.
Yeah, 10-2.
Clemson. I think we lose to Clemson, and then
at home.
I don't think for some reason I don't think we lose to Notre Dame. I think we slip to a Duke or. Unfortunately, and this is going to hurt, a Wake Forest. I don't think we slip to Carolina, but a Wake Forest or a Duke and a Clemson. One of those 3. I think we have Sam's number, in my opinion.
That's fair. Well, the advantage that we have is all of our quote unquote tough games are at home, right? But we do go to Wake Forest where it's a house of horrors. It seems like every time
I will never go again.
Right. I'm going to do it this year just so I can cross it off, and then that'll be the last one.
I think I'll go this year because I'm in High Point, so it should be a 20-minute drive to go to the game. So maybe Greg, me and you need to coordinate on that. We did it earlier.
All right. So last question of the we'll have a little fun question. We've had some good questions, but the fun questions. I'm a tailgate guy. Love some tailgate. I know Brian loves his tailgate. Give me your go-to, you gotta show off at this tailgate. What are you rolling with, Brian?
I'm coming to your tailgate.
You
and
All right,
say, "This is mine.
touche.
Welcome to my party."
What are you making though, Brian? What are you bringing to the tailgate then?
I love doing barbecue. I mean, it's easy. I'll got a big green egg, smoke a few shoulders. You know, I'm here, so it's an easy thing for me to get out and take out, and most everybody seems to like it when I do it. So that's kind of my go-to.
All right, Winston, you wrapping us up.
So-
what are you making? What are you bringing? What are you eating? Like, what is your favorite thing at a tailgate?
Being that I haven't been to one in so long, and I'm living in South Dakota, I have to bring Bojangles. You know, I don't get it.
Okay.
That's showing off. Okay, that is showing off.
I don't get it. So I'd have to bring a thing of chicken supremes, some Blueberry biscuits. You know, just
Oh, man.
you gotta, because I don't get it,
Mouth
or
water.
maybe even stop at Waffle House and give me an all-star breakfast. But just that and a vat of sweet tea. Because out here in the Midwest, we don't get that. But for me,
Bojangles
something
is
like
showing
that.
off. It's classy. Bojangles is classy.
Yeah, especially if you get in the big bow box, right? That says the
Yes.
tailgate. Yeah.
It's like everybody goes.
And
It's
you
like,
put-
it's like that meme where the guy and the girl are walking by, and the other girl is walking by, and the guy's like, "Ooh," it's like, "Oh, that guy's got Bojangles."
Bojangles. Okay. All
Winston,
right.
I can appreciate that, man. Like I said, when I lived in Omaha, I flew home to most every home game. I only missed 2 home games in the 2 years I was out there. But Bojangles was one of my first stops every time I came back. So I can appreciate that.
That's awesome. Hey, Macon, you want to wrap us up, brother?
Sure. Yeah. Hey. So that was it with Winston and Brian, guys. I really appreciate y'all. Tuning into our channel, and glad you guys won this giveaway, and we're love doing that kind of thing. I know Greg highlighted that earlier. For the fans who are watching again, we would love to continue to have the opportunity to get to meet you guys, talk sports. But it's all this channel and this team's all about. We're NC State fans talking state stuff. So be sure to keep tuning in. We have a lot more content coming up, especially as football season's getting closer and closer. I think it's at 50 days was yesterday. And
Yeah,
I think
we have.
Today.
49.
49 today, yeah, for this recording, and it's coming, guys. So we'll
getting
get a
real.
lot of content. We get a lot of content coming out about that. And Greg even mentioned Christmas in July is a real thing, right?
It is a real thing.
He said he will fight you.
I will fight
It
you.
is.
Nah. But hey, guys, thank you guys so much. Be sure to like and subscribe this video. Continue to share our account. We can continue to grow this community here, and this is really fun. I mean, it's like it's just a good thing to have a lot of state fans get to know each other and talk about how much we love state, and exciting what the future holds. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in, and go Pack.
Go Pack, guys.
Go Pack.